Hello, my name is Dr. Warren. This is Plum 2, number 2 blog. This blog was set up to address many of the economic issues facing the economic meltdown, or should I say the death watch of the United States financial system and the world's financial system. This is primarily that. There are many signs, showing forth that as the physical body dies, those of us that had our loved ones in hospice or in a final death state, we know that you've seen some of the signs. Well, these same type of signs are manifested within our financial system, which have been censored from us as a result of the news, the major media, propagandize us. And as it has been pointed out, that how our taste, our political ideas, our ideas are shaped and formed by the tube. It's no wonder that 98% of the Americans are totally oblivious to what is going on in our current economic system, the United States economic system. As the president gave his address last night, this is all a dog and pony show, folks. Whether we're talking about the debt ceiling that we have or the sequester of funds, none of these address the issues. In short, what they should be telling us is that we need a new financial system. This thing is over with. Not that it's the death of capitalism, but the socialist ideas that have been put forth, as Martha Thatcher, former Prime Minister of England, had said. The socialists have used other people's money, and this is what's happening to us, along with our Federal Reserve system that is totally bankrupt. Not only the U.S., but the whole world system is totally bankrupt. And that may be frightening to many people, but there are things that you can do to prepare for this, as Noah prepared for the flood. And as basically the scriptures pointed out, the Yahweh said that my people perish, or as Lord, for a lack of knowledge. And that's basically what is happening to the American populace or sheeple for the last 50 years. We have totally been put to sleep and full of apathy. But getting back to the science, this happens to be February 12th that I'm doing this. What is 2013? What is happening here is that the signs are so ominous. It's as if the Titanic has hit this iceberg, and the music goes on, and the captain assures the crew and the passengers that everything's okay. But everybody can kind of sense something. They have a intuition or deep gut feeling that all things are not going as we presuppose, as they presuppose or they have told us. Well, we've been propagandized for the last 5 years since we had this financial collapse that things are going to get better. We're going to turn this thing around, and really that's been propagandized, and that's nothing further from the truth. The Federal Reserve, which is its 100-year anniversary, December of this year, 1913 to 2013 is 100 years, and it is a total fraudulent system that is totally bankrupt. Not only the U.S., as I said before, the world. I want to deal with some ominous signs that you may not be able to interpret. If you are, you're blessed. Those of us that have prepared for silver, we're well ahead of the game. I'm a retired banker. I've managed both money market funds, which would probably be worth about today's money, would probably be worth a quarter of $1 billion, and a portfolio probably would be worth $500 million in today's money. Back in the 70s, and I have never seen such corruption, malfeasance in all my life. This is unparalleled in the history of the world. And what we have, and why I say this is a dog and pony, for those of you that are young, you don't understand truly what is happening to the money or the medium of exchange which you have today. and that medium of exchange is the dollar. It's a reserve currency. And I want to go in future blogs. I'll go into the detail of how that was formed after World War II with the Bretton Woods. But what I want to point out to you is the current signs that are so obvious. It's like a woman that has a breath and she feels a lump and she's ignored it, and it gets bigger and bigger. She hopes and prays that it goes away, but until it's properly diagnosed and some form of treatment, whether it's the alternative treatment or the the traditional treatments that we have treated by modern medicine. This is where we are today. I mean, we have a school of ideology that believes that by printing more money out of thin air, that they can hope to jumpstart this economy into prosperity or economic growth, whereby they can eventually pay back this huge amount of debt that we have, and that's really an impossibility. And here's the irony of the situation. The Federal Reserve, in the last 5 years, this thing began in 2006 with the subprime and the collapse of the derivative market-backed securities and the collapse of Wall Street, which collapsed the whole world. The Federal Reserve, to save the world, should I say, instead of putting us through the system, putting us through the whole thing, and getting this situation rectified. By that I mean by putting us through bankruptcy. Let me deviate for about 2 minutes from the question. Is that within the human body, there's 100 trillion cells, and there's a process called apoptosis, and that's the programmed death of cells. And every day we lose 35, 50 million, 100 million cells. Nothing but they're being replaced. Within our economy, what happened as a result of this thing, the banking system should have been put through bankruptcy worldwide and restarted. And those situations, those banks should have been put to death. And the debt, that's what bankruptcy does. Basically what bankruptcy does with corporations, the trustees, the assets are sold off, and you reform the situation. Well, that wasn't allowed for the powers to be. Now that's another story, but you can see that they are not allowing the too big to fail banks to fail, which is one of the fallacies, and they've run up huge debts. Now, what I want to get back to, the point I want to get back to, is basically this. As a result of 25 or 30 trillion dollars, it took an act of Congress to be passed to get the Federal Reserve to open their books to audit it. The first time in almost 100 years that we were able to look at the books and show what they were allowed, and that limited exploration or forensic looking at the books of the Federal Reserve. What we arrived at is basically this: that they spent some 20, I don't know, let's just say $20 trillion. This doesn't really matter. Giving money created out of thin air to many of these corporations, and that was put us on basically life support, triage as they would call it, and we on basically for life support system. So we spent $20 trillion. We had stimulus packages, QE1, QE2, QE4, and a whole host of things that they probably haven't even told us. Nevertheless, fourth quarter of 2012, we had negative GNP. In other words, all the goods and services. Can you believe that we had, after spending this huge amount of money, never reducing unemployment, and have increased debt. The real estate thing is totally a mess. It has never been reconciled. So, and banks are carrying on their books toxic debt at the original value. They've not been reduced to current market value. So we are not anywhere near solving anything. We're just creating more money out of nothing. And it's part of the fractional reserve system, which basically it does two things to the average person, which he has not understood. It undermines, one of the first things it undermines is the currency, the value of the currency that they create to buy the bonds to keep the interest rates at zero. And that's another story. We'll talk about that later. The other thing, the impact of what this has on savers, and how long can we do this as the Federal Reserve continues to print money in for not as a Jim Sinclair, one of the financial gold bugs experts, have pointed out that they're going to do it till the cows come home, and many other people, Eric Sprout, many other, have pointed out that this fallacy is not going. But this, not only do we have the negative growth, but we found out that the true deficit is not the 1.2 trillion that they keep harping above us and telling us this is 1.2 trillion, but it's more like $6 trillion according to, I said 6 trillion. I didn't say 6 billion. I didn't say 600. I said $6 trillion according to John Williams, Shadow Statistics. Look up Shadow Statistics, John Williams, and you will find out that the true deficit, according to General Accounting Accepted Principles, that's GAAP, that's the normal procedures that one that has a business would have to, or any corporation would have to abide by. And if not, you can probably go to jail, more than likely go to jail. But the government plays this fancy thing with their books. But the CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, has pointed out that it's basically $6 trillion. That includes Social Security and Medicare. All this over the 20 years that has been amortized or allocated over this period of time. And it's actually $6 trillion. So actually, we bankrupt. Now we got a $16 trillion economy. We ran a deficit of $6 trillion. And according to Professor Kotligov, he states that the total liability or expenses of the country is $200 trillion. So you got a $16 trillion economy. You got a $200 trillion liability. See, and you don't run $6 trillion, and you only could collect $2.4 trillion in taxes and revenue. That's the IRS. That agency only collects $2.4 trillion. There's no way this debt can be paid back by any stretch of any imagination, legal or illegal, whatever they're doing. It cannot. And all we can do is just keep trying to pay the interest at zero interest rates. So we began to say, so where's this thing going? Well, this thing is basically going, it's basically going to, where is it going? It is basically going to nowhere. Basically, what I mean by that, basically going, we are having a process where the whole system is collapsing, and we